Hello and welcome to Post Tech Pulse. We will be discussing the future of cars and how automobiles are likely to evolve in the years ahead. The current model of the car is in many ways becoming obsolete. One major reason is size. Cars are disproportionately large compared to the size of the person driving them. Secondly, they are expensive vehicles designed simply to carry a person comfortably from one place to another could in theory be far cheaper than they are today. Prices have become heavily inflated. A significant part of the problem lies in the unnecessary burden placed on roads, traffic systems, and drivers themselves. A single driver occupies only one seat and requires only a limited amount of physical space to move through traffic. In that same, if that same person is not enclosed with the body of the car, for example, if he is riding a motorcycle, if that same person is not enclosed within the body of the vehicle, for example, a motorcycle, on a motorcycle, it becomes clear that he needs only about 2 feet of width, perhaps slightly more, to move from one place to another and navigate through traffic congestion. This is precisely why motorcycles are far less likely to become trapped in traffic. With they occupy very little space. At the same time, motorcycles do not provide the same level of comfort as cars. Riders are exposed to rain, sunlight, harsh weather conditions. There is no enclosed body for protection, and the riding posture itself is less comfortable. On a motorcycle, the rider leans forward, where a car allows a more relaxed seating position with proper back support. One of the biggest problems these microcars would solve is by providing the working classes and the middle class commuters, people who can afford only motorcycles. It would provide them with many of the other comforts of the car at a price that is quite closer. The technology and the materials already exist, and enough research has been done to make such vehicles practical. In many ways, the difficulties faced by motorcycle riders are problems that should have been solved decades ago. Millions of commuters still have to go through heavy rain, intense heat, cold winters, dust, and other harsh conditions, often with family members riding along with them. With modern engineering, it is highly possible to provide weather protection, a comfortable seating position in which you could recline, and greater safety with uh, dramatically increasing greater safety without any significant increase in the price. These microcars could offer much of the comfort and convenience of traditional cars while remaining affordable for people who would otherwise rely on motorcycles. For many families, bike riders, delivery riders, this could represent a significant improvement in quality of life, and it could make daily transportation safer, more comfortable, and more practical. It would also result in a smooth operation, and it would not disrupt the daily earnings of uh, bike riders and food panda riders, delivery riders, because whether it's rain or uh, any other significant problem, rain or strong winds, they would still be delivering. So this would bring about a huge change. We have already seen various forms of alternative vehicles, small vehicles, such as electric rickshaws, EV rickshaws, yet even these vehicles remain slightly larger than the human body. For that reason, I believe the size of the vehicle will eventually shrink dramatically. Some early forms of this concept already exist as prototypes. Certain manufacturers refer to them as cabin cars, cabin scooters, or gyro cars. Prototype models have appeared online. These concepts are still far from the mainstream, but they point out toward a larger shift in transportation design. If you have seen the film Wall-E, you may remember the floating chairs, the flying chairs, on which every person travels. The near future may resemble something similar, not flying though, but moving on wheels. The transportation pod itself would be as narrow as possible, occupying only slightly more space than a motorcycle. Although Wall-E portrays a dystopian society marked by laziness and physical decline, but the real world micromobility innovation, it would serve a very different purpose. Its goal would not be to encourage inactivity or laziness, but to dramatically reduce the size of the vehicle, reduce the amount of road space required for that vehicle. That, I believe, is the future of micromobility. Conventional cars will gradually become obsolete because it simply does not make sense for a single person to travel in a vehicle 10 or 20 times larger than the human body itself, whether it's uh, Toyota Corolla or the smaller versions like Alto and Cultus, etc. Consider somebody driving alone for 20 to 30 kilometers simply to reach their workplace in a car that is that big. That is highly inefficient. Much of the size and weight of modern cars has become unnecessary. The same level of comfort could be recreated in far smaller vehicles with reduced width, allowing roads to accommodate more travelers, with minimizing congestion. The driver would still need to sit in a comfortable posture, protected from sunlight and rain. That is why you need uh, an encapsulated body. Air conditioning could remain optional, much as it once was in lower cost vehicles across Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and other countries. Even today, while most modern cars include AC, it is not fundamentally necessary for transportation itself. You can see there are older cars all around the country without air conditioning. So just like as with motorcycles, there could be both premium and affordable versions. Some motorcycles are designed for enthusiasts and high-end consumers, rich people, while other are inexpensive and practical. So you have heavy bikes, you have motorcycles which are sports bikes, expensive stuff which the rich people like to drive, and you have motorcycles which are slightly cheaper, and the middle classes can and the working classes can ride those. A similar market structure could emerge for future uh, microcars. This transition could happen at any time. It is ultimately a matter of who disrupts the market first. Naturally, resistance will exist, obviously. Redesigning cars would affect an enormous global industry, including manufacturers, suppliers, and every sector connected to automobile production. There would be immense pressure against adopting such innovation. Yet innovation inevitably emerges when somebody successfully disrupts the market. I believe these kinds of solutions are mostly likely to emerge from Asian countries, particularly China, which has already disrupted numerous technology sectors. China consistently focuses on reducing production costs while maintaining acceptable performance standards, whether in electronics, machinery, or vehicles. Chinese manufacturers have repeatedly demonstrated an ability to produce functional products at significantly lower prices. This is also a strong. There is also a strong possibility that if such vehicles are not fully integrated into regulated industries in other countries, they might first appear in informal or semi-regulated markets. Pakistan already is an example of this phenomenon. You can see Chinese made loader rickshaws have become increasingly common, although I'm not certain whether local manufacturing has also begun. These vehicles are widely available in China, yet in Pakistan, many operate outside formal licensing structures uh, because the loader rickshaw is not. I think as what I heard that it's not recognized, it's not licensed. Yet you see the loader rickshaw operating in many parts of Pakistan which are unregulated. The same applies to the Chingchi uh, and other modified transport systems that appear in less regulated regions. So in you can see that the Chingchi exists in most parts of Pakistan, except for big cities and only parts of big cities. In cities like Rawalpindi, for example, these vehicles are common in some areas and absent in others, depending on the regulations. This is often how transportation innovation spreads in developing markets, first informally, then gradually into the mainstream. Only time will determine how the industry evolves. For that reason, investors and EV manufacturers should recognize that the next major breakthrough might be what we could call as the mini car or the microcar. In the same way, the consumer electronics evolved into smaller, more compact devices like the iPhone or iPod. Transportation may move toward a similar compact identity. One could even imagine a term like the iCar, although trademark and patent restrictions could likely prevent such branding. Still, the concept captures the direction in which transportation appears to be moving. There are already products in Pakistan in which some of these characteristics, although none fully realize the complete vision. For example, if a vehicle resembles a microcar but lacks the fully enclosed body, it defeats much of its purpose. If the manufacturers are already investing in heavily, they are already investing heavily in R&D, research and development, they should go one step further and fully enclose the vehicle because they've already spent a lot of uh, capital. Otherwise, passengers will remain exposed to the rain, storms, winter weather, and dust from both sides. So, by adding just few more features, the concept could become completely. It could become a complete solution. That is the direction in which the industry will move. So, if the cars continue evolving in the current form, traffic congestion and urban inefficiency will only worsen. And yes, public transportation is certainly necessary. Many parts of the world still lack reliable systems. Cities like Islamabad and Lahore, they do have public transport networks, but the system remains often overcrowded and under resourced because of fewer buses and more passengers. So, too many commuters rely on too few buses, leaving many people unable to board on the bus while the bus is crowded. So, as a result, public transportation in many developing regions remains far less efficient than systems found in advanced economies. This discourages the people from fully adopting it. Even though public transportation itself is essential, buses and metro systems are infrastructure dependent. Because they are infrastructure dependent, they require major government involvement, large scale bureaucracy, and substantial long term investments. While these systems are important, societies still need practical mobility solutions before such infrastructure becomes reliable everywhere. This is why microcars could help solve problems that arguably should never have existed in the first place. The necessary technology already exists. So basically, to depend on to just wait for the public transportation system to start and to become better, I think that's a very long leap. And if that doesn't happen, are we just going to sit and wait? I think that's quite unreasonable. And the system would still incentivize everyone to buy an Alto. So that becomes highly problematic. It would cause more and more traffic congestion. It would cause uh, more unnecessary burden on the climate because of the manufacturing and then the emissions as well. So microcars could help solve problems that arguably should not have existed in the first place. The necessary technology already exists. Electric motors are sufficiently advanced, and modern engineering is capable of these vehicles. One crucial detail is passenger capacity. That's very important. These microcars would need to accommodate at least two people, one in the front and one in the back. Achieving this within such a narrow vehicle design would be a major engineering challenge. Another challenge would also involve balance and stability, because these vehicles they would be narrow. They could easily tip over or skid if poorly designed, much like rickshaws or Suzuki Bolans. Sometimes they do today. Manufacturers would need to carefully engineer the center of gravity so the vehicle could remain stable on uneven roads, slopes, and difficult terrain. Roads are rarely perfect level, especially in developing regions. So, stability would become one of the most important design considerations. The reason for requiring an additional passenger seat is simple. Motorcycles already provide space for a second rider. If a microcar could not accommodate at least one additional family member, a spouse, or a sibling, or a friend, it would struggle to gain acceptance in the market. This would also be very important for ride sharing and delivery services, such as Bikea and other like ride hailing services. Without enough space for an additional passenger, the vehicle would be impractical for many commercial uses. Therefore, whosoever launches the microcar will likely need to include a compact rear passenger seat, possibly even a customizable layout. Such vehicles could significantly improve daily life for delivery riders and ride hailing workers, many of whom currently endure extreme weather conditions. Like you can see the food panda riders during heavy rain, floods, hailstorms, or intense heat. Motorcycle based workers often lose income because the transportation becomes unsafe or impractical. A compact and closed vehicle, only slightly wider than a motorcycle, could protect its riders while still minimizing road space. That ultimately is what I believe the future of the car will look like. Traditional automobiles in their current oversized form are likely to become obsolete. Once a viable alternative enters the market, adoption could spread rapidly, as much as uh, uh, adoption could spread rapidly, just like Uber, Kareem, and other disruptive technologies expanded worldwide with a relatively short period of time. So, in the future videos, I will also review some existing products that relate to this concept. Although many of them are still uh, in prototype phase and not marketed enough. So, stay tuned and thank you for listening.